Your home team advantage. This is KOLR-10, Springfield.
Good evening, I'm Mike Peters.
And I'm Jill Jensen. Thank you for joining us.
In the news tonight, prosecutors say he went from being a New York street punk to being the Henry Ford of drug trafficking. But now, Carlos Lader is facing as much as life plus 150 years in prison.
A jury in Jacksonville, Florida has convicted Lader of plotting to smuggle more than 3 tons of coke into the United States. CBS News correspondent Bruce Hall has the story.
After struggling for a week to reach a verdict, several members of the jury were in tears as they returned their decision in the trial of Colombian drug lord Carlos Lader. Their verdict made a strong statement. On count 1, conspiracy to bring drugs into the United States, guilty. On 9 specific drug charges, guilty. On the main charge, conducting continuing criminal activities, which carries a mandatory 10-year to life sentence, guilty.
This is a victory for the good guys, and by the good guys, I mean the American people. This is truly a major victory in the war on drugs.
Mr. Lader fully intends to appeal this verdict, and we're fully convinced that when the dust settles after this trial is over, that he'll be awarded a new trial. This trial was not a fair trial.
In the 1970s, Carlos Lader developed one of the largest drug transportation systems in South America, pioneering the use of airplanes to smuggle more than 18 tons of cocaine into the United States.
He called it his duty to his country to haul cocaine. He's half the people in Colombia made a living directly or indirectly from cocaine.
The Lader verdict now may be used to expand the fight against international drug trafficking. And the next target may be the Bahamas Prime Minister Lyndon Pindling. There was testimony in this trial that Pindling received at least $5 million to let drug traffickers use some of the Bahamian islands. Federal prosecutors say they will recommend that Carlos Lader be given a sentence that will ensure he is never eligible for parole. Bruce Hall, CBS News, Jacksonville.
Drug-related indictments were handed down by a federal grand jury in Springfield today. The 3-count indictment names 8 people on federal narcotics and currency transaction violations. One of those charged, former Springfield banker John Kenneth Johnson, appeared before U.S. Judge James England this afternoon. The indictment charges Johnson conspired with the other defendants to distribute 42 kilos of cocaine from January of 1984 to June of 1986. Federal officials say Johnson conspired to defraud the IRS by altering bank loan records while working with Boatman's National Bank and First City National Bank. Johnson will be arraigned May 27th. 8 people were arrested in El Dorado Springs overnight as part of a major drug bust in Cedar County. Authorities confiscated an estimated $30,000 worth of drugs from marijuana to crystallized cocaine. Also taken into custody were pornographic materials and stolen guns. Officials say 2 or 3 more suspects are being sought in the case, with court dates pending for 8 arrested early today.
Authorities now say the weekend shotgun killing of 3 people in Taney County may have been drug-related. Taney County Sheriff Chuck Keithley says authorities in Stone and Lawrence counties were familiar with Lloyd Lawrence because of his involvement with illegal cockfighting. Lloyd and Frankie Lawrence and their grandson were shot to death on wooded property near Reed Spring, where they had a weekend cabin. Keithley refused to say whether Lloyd Lawrence, who appeared to be the principal target of the killer, may have been involved in producing or selling drugs. Kansas City firefighters are battling a 4-alarm fire at the downtown headquarters of the Kansas City Police Department tonight. Authorities say the 8-story building has been evacuated and 4 people have been taken to area hospitals, and several others are being treated for smoke inhalation at the scene. The fire was reported